use. Hey Bessie. Okay, so planning what I'm going to eat, grocery shopping, and then meal prepping it is too much to do in one day. So I usually spend Fridays planning everything out. I didn't get a chance to plan yesterday because we did a little Valentine's Day party, and so I'm going to meal plan today, Saturday morning. So I've got my coffee. Now let's get into it. So this is my grocery notepad. I use this to first plan the meal I'm gonna eat for the week and then make my grocery list. And you know your girl's an iPad baby, so I had to put on a little show before getting started. Got my notepad set and then going to start perusing Pinterest for some inspiration. I also have a little recipe folder I keep on here for ideas. Each week I prep a breakfast, a lunch, a silly little treat, a cold foam, and then about 4 to 5 dinners. I keep this list on my whiteboard that's in my kitchen, and then we just choose what dinners we want to eat from the list. Here is some inspiration, and I just thought that bagel was really pretty. And here's everything I'm eating for the week. I then go item by item and build my grocery list from there. This notepad has spots for produce, aisles, proteins, so it helps me not miss anything. My laptop decided to die on me, and so I finished the grocery list without that. Grocery list is done. So now that my grocery list is made and my meals are planned, I'm going to do my weekly schedule. My weekly schedule is important because your girl does way too much all the time. Between being a mom, a content creator, and having a full-time job, things get slammed. And so I plan my content at the same time as my schedule. That way it doesn't feel like so much of a burden. I list out the content on the left and then write when I'm going to post it on the weekly schedule. I also make sure to write a line item if I need to record a piece of content on a day, like it's a to-do list. Let's not forget to meal prep. Now that I have my content all planned and my schedule done, I like to go through the goals that I wrote down at the beginning of the year and write down a few things in my schedule that I can do to work towards those goals. I track my yearly goals in Notion. At the beginning of the year, I made a little vision board and set some goals into categories. A year is a long time, and so it's nice to go back to these each week and write down some steps. This is the first year I'm doing it this way, and it seems to be working out really well. So now my meals are planned. My schedule is done. My husband's gonna go grocery shopping, and once everything is put away and organized, I'll be ready to start my meal prep tomorrow. Husband's out grocery shopping. I'm gonna clean the kitchen and get anything cleared out of the refrigerator, get it all organized, and so that way when he brings the groceries in, I can just throw them where they need to go. Not interested? So now I'm just waiting for my husband to come back with the groceries. I can load them in the fridge and then just chill until tomorrow. Just filming instead of helping. Let's make some food so I don't have to decide what I want to eat each and every day. Okay, what the hell am I doing? You all saw me make this grocery list and plan these meals for the week yesterday. And so we're gonna get these written on the whiteboard so we know exactly what we're making today. This whiteboard is right in the dead center of my kitchen and makes it easy to just like look over and refer to it when I'm not sure what to do next. We have a lot of fun items that I'm meal prepping today, including redemption on the focaccia from a few weeks back. This list is very long and I'm instantly regretting all of my decisions. Borrowed a phone to record on because recording for TikTok and YouTube is very hard to do on one phone. It's a very sad day for me because I'm all caught up on Real Housewives. So I'm rewatching Younger. It's cute and won't distract me too much because I've seen it a couple of times. I don't usually start with the cold foam, but I'm out of cold foam for my coffee, so we're gonna make that first. This week we're doing a banana bread cold foam, and that's gonna start with me making a syrup, equal parts brown sugar and water, and then I'm gonna add a little bit of vanilla and a little bit of butter extract. Bring that to a simmer until all of the sugar is melted, and then pour it into a bottle to cool down. Usually I'd wait longer, but your girl needs coffee, and so we're going to turn this into cold foam right away. 1 cup heavy cream, a little bit of banana pudding mix, some of our brown sugar syrup, and then I'm going to blend that until it's thick. It should only take about a minute or two for it to get really thick. Official taste test, adding it to my cold foam, and then storing the rest of it away for the rest of the week. She's perfect. And look at that, we're already crossing stuff off. Next up, I'm going to start boiling the eggs for drunken eggs. This is a dinner meal prep, which I usually don't do, so kind of a little bit of a bonus item. This is going to go with some chicken ramen for during the week. Next up is I have to get the yeast going for the focaccia. I should have started this first, but your girl needed cold foam. I'm following a different recipe this week than I did originally, and I'm reminding myself that this dough is a lot like pizza and to not use too much flour. Little bit of multitasking here while I make my dough and then put my eggs in the strainer to then go into an ice bath. Ice baths are the key to not having your shells stick to your eggs, but it's also important to not leave them in there for too long. I'm not following my own advice because I'm getting distracted with this dough, but so far she's looking really good, so I'm going to let that sit and rest while I continue on the rest of my meal prep. We're going to do this a few times today. Eggies are out of their little bath, and I did a little bit of foreshadowing back there because they didn't peel off great, as you can see, but they're gonna get dunked in a bunch of sauce, so it doesn't really matter. Before I do that, I'm gonna get started on French toast sticks. Not so much a recipe for this, just make French toast as you usually would with mixing some eggs with milk and then dunking the bread in there. Between making that, my focaccia needed to be pulled. You're gonna pull up the outer edges of the dough and fold them into the center until you get a ball. Doing this directly in the bowl saves so much time and makes so much less of a mess. Our dough is going back to resting, and I'm going to continue with our French toast sticks. Like I said, this gets cooked like any French toast, and then once they're all done and cooled, we're going to cut them into sticks. French toast sticks are the best meal prep because they're so easy to make, and you could store them in a giant Ziploc bag in your freezer. And I wouldn't be your favorite content creator if I wasn't keeping it real. This is what I'm battling with each and every time I try to meal prep. It's not an easy task kicking my family out of the kitchen in the middle of the day on a Sunday. So is done with his second nap, and as you can see, it's gotten a lot bigger. We're going to pull and stretch it one more time and let it rest again. I'm feeling like I'm doing a much better job this time, but I don't want to jinx it. And here's the counter setup. We got our dough resting, our little eggies, and some French toast sticks. Setting my timer for nap number 3. And I was going to try to make some dressing for the tuna burgers, but remember that I had wasabi mayo, and that's going to work. Crossing off the spicy mayo because I'm just not going to make it. Getting my eggs into a mason jar to get drunk. I probably should have followed a recipe, but I'm using a kind of like F around and find out method here. My favorite cooking resource. Soy sauce, sesame oil, rice wine vinegar, green onion, a little bit of ground Korean peppers, salt, garlic powder, ginger. I think I also added a little bit of fish sauce and just putting the top on that, and I'm gonna let those marinate in there until later in the week. Okay, we're about halfway there. I had this idea to make like granola with some crispy quinoa, but I've put almost all of my effort into this focaccia and I'm not cooking another thing. So we're gonna make a really simple granola, heating up some coconut oil right in the bowl, and then I'm gonna add oats, cinnamon, some seeds, mix that all together, and then get it on a lined baking sheet to go into the oven for about 10 to 15 minutes. She may be simple, but spoiler alert, it was absolutely delicious. Getting her in the oven and making sure I set a timer because I almost always burn granola. And now that my focaccia is taking its final rest, I'm going to brown some butter and make the cinnamon mixture because we're turning this focaccia into cinnamon roll focaccia. So like any good cinnamon roll recipe, I need to make the filling, which is brown butter, brown sugar, cinnamon. Getting her all mixed up and set aside. Granola is out and looking not burnt, which is a crazy accomplishment. And my jaw is officially on the floor. This focaccia looks right. Prepping our pan for the focaccia. Avocado oil on the bottom, and then some parchment paper and some more avocado oil on the parchment paper. The recipe called for olive oil, but sometimes that has such a strong taste. So I used avocado oil, added my dough to the pan and stretched it out, then topped it with my cinnamon roll paste. Then I'm going to fold it into thirds and turn it over. This is the step that's going to get that cinnamon roll flavor into the center of the bread. And I totally lied because this does have to rest again. Don't we all love a diva? Now it's time to cut up those French toast sticks with the only acceptable kitchen utensil to do so, scissors. Just cut it right into the Tupperware and then put the top on. I reheat these in the air fryer, so I'm not really concerned if they get soggy. Granola is cooled as well and ready to go into a container. Underestimated the amount of granola I made, and so this did not fit in this jar. I needed a little side one. I store these just in my pantry for the week. 2 things crossed off the list at once. And now it's time to prep our tuna burgers. I love using canned fish for burgers. Added an egg, a little bit of breadcrumb, obviously some seasoning. I also added in some sriracha and a little bit of soy sauce. Mix it all together and then form into little burger patties. I do that by making the tuna into a ball and then kind of smushing it with my hand as I put it down on the parchment. I meant to add in green onion when I was mixing, but I forgot, so we're going to chop it into the pan and then smush the burgers into it, smash burger style. Putting each of my little burger babies down, and then once they're brown on one side, I'll flip them over. I grossly overestimated the amount of footage I saved for the tuna burgers and not really sure what else to say, other than that they are delicious and really easy to meal prep and keep in the fridge or the freezer. Now my focaccia is finally done resting, and holy shit did I do an amazing job. Putting the tuna burgers aside to cool, and now for the part we've all been waiting for. And by we, I mean me. Putting the rest of the cinnamon roll paste on top of the focaccia, and then getting my little fingies in there to make those quintessential little dimples. This is the part in the recipe where I knew I had failed last time, because this little baby's supposed to jiggle, as you can see here, and my old focaccia was stiff. It's time for her to go in the oven and to just pray that I didn't spend 4 hours for nothing. Tuna burgers are cool, and so I'm getting those wrapped up in tin foil and then put into the fridge. I like to wrap the burgers individually because it keeps them intact, especially when you're using tuna. Done with everything except the focaccia is still in the oven, and it looks freaking amazing. While this was baking, I rested my little piggies for a little bit and did some editing. Heard my little timer going off and couldn't push my husband out of the kitchen fast enough because I needed to get this baby out of the oven. And we did it, Joe. We did it. Before I can give her a little taste test, I had to make the icing that goes on top of every cinnamon roll. That's a couple teaspoons of milk, some vanilla extract, and a whole lot of powdered sugar. We were just measuring with our heart on this one. And now for the drizzle. I'm going to lather this baby up in icing and then try to stop my mouth from frothing while I wait for this to cool down to take a bite of it. Getting in all those nooks and crannies. I think it's fair to say I made this focaccia my bitch. We need an official taste test. This is insanely good. So that's it. I finished my meal prep and I didn't mess anything up, which is a win-win. Now I can officially turn my brain off during the week because I have all of my meals planned. Thanks for hanging out with me. Bye.